This week in our Wonderful Day in the Lord broadcast, we've been talking about the Psalms, Psalm 36 and Psalm 37. And today we're going to look at Psalm 37 one more time. This is a psalm that people turn to in time of trouble, especially injustices, when things are not going well, when people have taken advantage of us, when it seems like things are not going well for us, but it's going very well for people that are living in godless lives. And we tend to envy such people because we're short-sighted and we don't see the outcome of their lives. And so the psalmist is calling us back to a godly perspective on life. Yesterday I closed with a quote by one of my favorite 19th century preachers, Alexander MacLaren, a contemporary of Spurgeon, who wrote these words: "Whatever we make necessary for our contentment, we make Lord of our happiness." And so as we look at this psalm, that thought, I think, is a good guiding principle as we go through the rest of this psalm. So we've looked so far at being told not to fret in the Lord, verse 1, to trust in the Lord in verse 3, delight yourself in the Lord in verse 4, and commit yourself to the Lord in verse 5. Now we're going to go to verse 7, and we come right up to the word immediately, the word rest. And that is a word that pops out at us and encourages us, doesn't it? I mean, in a world where we're busy, where we have a lot of things that come at us at times, rest is an important thing. How we long and desire the rest that can be ours. And so we're being promised here something about rest. So what is it? He says, rest in the Lord and wait patiently for Him. So the first thing he says is rest. So this is a command, and he's telling us that we can rest in Him. So to rest in the Lord is simply to do exactly what it says. It's kind of relaxing in Him. It's throwing off all these burdens that we think we have to solve this problem or that problem. And if we don't take care of it, then we're hopeless, we're helpless. Instead, as we delight in Him, as we commit our way to Him, we now rest in Him. And we know that He's a sovereign God that controls all things, even the evil things of this world. And therefore we know that because He loves us, we can depend upon Him, and we can let Him be God in our lives. And that gives us a wonderful rest in Him that nothing else can give us. And then he goes to another word here, and he says, wait patiently for Him. So as we're resting in Him, sometimes we don't see what we want to see very quickly. And therefore we get restless, and we begin to wonder, is He ever going to come through for us, or is He going to leave us languishing in this difficult circumstance forever? And so we have to learn also that we not only rest, but we have to rest with patience, waiting on Him. Then he comes back to that term we saw in verse 1, do not fret. So while we're resting and waiting, we have a tendency and a temptation to start fretting again. You know, we lay it down, we give it to Him, we're resting in Him, and then we pick back up that burden and begin to fret all over again. So he returns. Do not fret because of him who prospers in his way, because of the man who carries out wicked schemes. Don't get all wrapped up in these people that seem to be doing very well in life, even as they're doing awful things, maybe awful things to us. We fret over that. We get really upset. That person needs to have some kind of punishment. They need some vengeance, and maybe I should give it to them. And that's always the wrong direction for the child of God to go, because the Lord says, vengeance is mine, and I will repay it. You get out of the way. And so wait patiently for Him and don't fret. And then verse 8, cease from anger and forsake wrath. So while we're resting in the Lord and we return to fretting again, very easy also to return to anger. Now we're getting mad at the circumstance. We're seething at the one who's hurt us and brought pain in our life. And so now the anger is building up, and we're going right back to where we were before. And so he says again, verse 8, do not fret. So we're right back. He's like he's catching us in our thought process. We're up and down, we're dealing with things well, then we're not dealing with them very well, then we're dealing with them well, now we're struggling with anger. He says, do not fret, it leads only to evil doing. And so that fretting doesn't solve any problems, does it? It doesn't fix the situation. It just leads us in a wrong direction to do evil things. And then he turns back to verse 9. He says, for evildoers will be cut off. Remember, God will bring about vengeance in his time. But those who wait for the Lord, they will inherit the land. Now, again, he's talking to Israel, and there's a particular promise concerning the land here that is for them. But there is a universal principle here. But those who wait on the Lord, they're going to gain what God has promised them. And so once again, he says, don't fret. Don't get angry about this. Rest in the Lord. Wait for him. Wait for his timing. He's going to deal with these things when he sees fit, as he sees fit. And that's not always our timing. It's not always exactly how we want it to work out. And so we rest in him, and we delight in him, and we trust in him throughout these times, and we wait patiently for him. So the big picture is, don't fret. Don't allow these circumstances of life to cause you to lose your joy of living. Delight in him. Do not let the issues of life that you struggle with become the Lord of your life. Let him be the Lord of your life. I trust these words from the Psalms have been helpful to you this week, and we look forward to turning to some more Psalms next week. We'll see you then.